All right, everybody, what up? And we're back with another episode of Fields of Growth. This is Ace Boogie. Y'all know what's up. We're back kind of late again because it's another long weekend. This time celebrating my mother's birthday. Aries gang in the building. But we're here, still not making any excuses. It's Monday, so we're gonna get right into it. I have a couple of topics that I want to talk to you about, but I'll go ahead and let you know which one I picked off the top. Out of the Fishbowl, and it's suicide. So we're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about that later. It's a little heavy one, but we're going to get back into that. But my other topics are communication and fear. So starting with communication, I feel like that is our biggest, not weapon, but like our biggest tool to make the most impact. And it can also be used as a weapon to make the most damage or cause the most damage. To me, because our minds are what controls our bodies and what controls our hearts. So if we don't have real communications and we don't have real communication with our own selves, our others, our friends, family, things of that nature, our minds just won't be as powerful as they could be. Therefore, our bodies and our lives are not as powerful as they should be. But my first thing that I want to talk about before I hop into it, that communication isn't just talking or isn't just listening. When you're on a phone, you have the talking end and the receiving end. So those two together are important, because if you're communicating with someone and you are just constantly just only hearing everything that they're saying and you're not talking, that's not going to make good for conversation or good dialogue. But also, if you feel like you are a talker but you're not hearing what that person is saying, you're hearing what you want to hear, you're hearing bits and pieces, you're doing one of these, I'm talking da-da-da, but I'm hearing a little bit, I'm talking da-da-da, but I'm hearing a little bit, you're not really ever going to get anywhere to break down that wall or break down that barrier that you're trying to communicate for. If we could just do it telepathically, we would, So we had to talk, we had to communicate, and it's a two-part thing. Also, I want to talk about how communication isn't just two parts. Yes, but you can be in communication with someone and it not be true. And when I say that, it may be factual as far as like whatever, but if you're not speaking from the heart, like really speaking from your true emotions, that's going to be the most powerful and authentic communication there is. Also, I say that you won't have the best communication, or you're just wasting communication, if you're not like two parties that respect each other mutually. If you have one party that thinks that they're better than, or one party that feels less than, or just in that dialogue where you can hear it and see it, it's not real proper communication. You want to have communication where it's a mutual respect. Like that person knows you, or that party knows you, and you are very familiar with that party as well, and they can communicate right back to you. It's not just a one-way sided thing. I'm always fixing my necklaces, guys, but I only notice it behind the camera, so bear with me. But it's like the biggest thing, because I've dealt with so many people, different people, family, friends, work, whatever the case may be, and if there's not a mutual respect there, like I'm talking to someone that I respect and that person respects me, the communication is always half or a quarter, or just not ever to its highest potential, because that person or people are feeling like either someone's feeling, like I said, better, or so they feel like they're right and they're above, and so then they're leaving that other person to only want to hear maybe 30, 50, whatever percent, so it's not really resonating. But it also leaves just another conversation to be had. Like, you're just going to keep talking about the same things, because you're not making ground, you're not breaking past any barriers, you're not making any type of progress forward, because you're just circling back to the same conversations, how toxic cycles happen, just all of the things, just bad situations, because you're just not, there's no real communication. You're just continue to hit that wall because either there's no receiving and talking and receiving, or it's just no respect, and so there's just a waste of talking and receiving. And I feel like in my personal life, as far as my relationships go, I've just started to be one of the people that kind of receive better. I don't always take heed because I am the type of person, if you know me, I kind of do what I want, but I'm trying not to do that. I want to do what God wants, and I also want to do what's best. I don't necessarily am the type of person. I am not the type of person, tongue-tied. I am not the type of person who can kind of see somebody else do it and be like, I'm kind of like hands-on-y. It might be different for me because, not to sound cocky, but it is different for everybody. Like, everybody's not going to have the same outcome with everything. So sometimes I'll take my chances and try it. But there are situations where I'm smart enough, like, you did that, I'm not going to do that. Cool. But as far as communicating goes and relationship goes, I'm a trial and error type of person, and so I would try to communicate. I would try, but I'm just now getting better at receiving, because I used to be a talker. Like, I would just talk, or sometimes shut down when I have just said, I feel like I've said enough and I know the communication, I don't feel like it's happening. Now I'm just listening. Now I'm just like analyzing you, sitting back, listening to the I think is coming out of your mouth. So finding that balance for me personally has come with relationships, family-wise, friendship-wise, and also romantically. But with my friends, I think it's, and my family, but my friends, I think I noticed it first, of just being able to sit back and listen. And because with my family, I used to always want to get the last word, or I would try to say certain things. And then I did, learn when to just be quiet. Quiet coyote. Okay. But now it's easier for me to just be like, okay, now I can talk to, or I'm learning that balance. Because I know other people want to feel heard as well, which is like I want to feel heard when I'm communicating, and we not may agree, but we can still come to some type of common ground. And sometimes people I run into, sometimes they don't know when to be quiet, or they don't know when to respect your boundaries. So then it's kind of like, now it's moving from communication to, is there like any respect there at all? Like, or what are we dealing with here? But communication will take you so far when you learn to master it and master your emotions when talking. Because sometimes, it will get passionate, tensions and things, and emotions will get high, whether it's in good or bad. But we always want to remember that, one, if this is a conversation that you're trying to have with someone that you care about, remember to respect them. Remember to respect them in the same way that you want to be respected. And don't be petty or come down some notches if you don't feel like you're getting that mutual respect, because then you might as well kill the whole relationship, because now you're just whatever. And then when family, it's kind of hard, because it's kind of hard to kill some family relationships, but you just got to set those boundaries where you see, like, you don't have the same respect for me that I have for you, so this is how I'm going to move, this is how I'm going to operate. But I still love you, and if we want to talk about it, if you want to talk about it, we can sit and talk about it, or text, or whatever, over the phone. But it can be had. But it doesn't have to continuously being had if you know that you're not getting anywhere with that communication with that person. But I also want to talk about my next topic, fear, which stops a lot of us from even saying how we really feel or being able to express ourselves in communication or physically with our actions, because we're so worried about how we're going to be perceived because we've been judged in the past, or we've been told just straight up like that's not okay, or that like don't, just degrading things to our dreams or who we are. And so now we've built up this insecurity, like, well, now I can't say anything, or now I'm gonna keep my thoughts to myself, or now I'm not gonna talk to this person about that, or anybody about that. I mean, sometimes it just doesn't stop at that person. Like, you may shut down completely about a certain thing because of what you've been exposed to negatively from someone else, and now that fear is sitting on you. And I know for me personally, like I said in one of my stories a while back, a couple days ago, you can be so caught up in the fear of what others will think of you, or the perception of you, or how you may come off, or that you will literally paralyze yourself and start moving against your own, like disrespecting yourself because you're so worried about this and that and this and that. And like I said, I used to be a judgmental person on the low. Like, I would kind of judge people because I was truly judging myself. And that really, when I learned to stop judging people, I learned to stop judging myself. And then it just freed me up from so many things, because it allowed me to speak my truth. It allowed me to walk in my truth. But it also allowed me to interact with others in their truth and not be like, well, you're a shitty person now. Excuse my language. But it just allowed me to be like, hey, God is still working on you. You're still going through whatever you're going through, and I'm just gonna stay over here and you be over there. Like, so, yeah, fear stops us from so many things. And it's crazy because once we master that fear, like for instance, stage fright, it might be one of those things that reoccur and come back and come back. And you can have stage fright, do it, get over the stage fright. You go out, you kill it, and then you still have stage fright the next time. But that you'll always remember that first time that you went out there and killed it, and so that will be the force that drives you to go out the second time, and then the third time, and the fourth time. So by the 10th time, you're not even thinking I'm scared anymore. You're just going out there and killing it. And that's just how fear works. When we feel that fear, when we feel those things that come up on us, just those anxious feelings, or just those unworthy feelings, or just feeling like we're not enough come up on us, that's when we need to do it. That's when we need to push in and lean in the most and really try to get that done, whether it be the communication, whether it be an action, a task, or whatever. Do it, because the next time that you're gonna do it or have to do it, it'll be easier, and then till the fear is no longer. So I just employ that with communication, with following your dreams, with everything, because me sitting up here doing this right now was a fear. It was a thing that I couldn't get past because of the judgments that I put on myself, how I wanted to look, how I wanted to talk, what I wanted to say, who would listen, what is it doing. But in reality, I'm conquering my fears. In reality, I am having my own therapy moments and having my own growing moments, essentially my own growing right here with you guys, so you can see, and for myself, and in hopes that it will inspire someone else to just kill their fears and just do that thing that you've been thinking about, that you've been pondering on. Get out and do it. And it doesn't matter if 10 million other people are doing it. Like, there's so many things and people in this world, and we need something to drink, but we buy 10, 25 different things to drink. We need food, but we have a plethora of food. We need hoodies, but I can collect them. Like, So it doesn't matter who's doing it or what, there will always be a place for you. And another quote that my cousin Blair said that was so powerful, like, yeah, there's gonna be a hater, but you're also gonna have an admirer. We live in a polarized society, so we're up, down, it's just how it is. So you can focus on that negative, but that positive is still over there no matter what. And it's up to you to get there. Like, it's up to you, to your mind, to pull yourself back over there, or even to the middle, or wherever. But don't get stuck on the negative, because there is a positive on the other side of that fear. And so I'll just hop into suicide, because this is something that I dealt with. This is something that fear and lack of communication and fear of communication and all the things had me in that place. So, like I said, it started off, I may be interrupting, but it was the sweetest interruption, so I'm back. But yeah, right after I had her, I went through a downward mental spiral, for a lack of better words. I felt like my communication, I felt like the people that I was around, like I said, friends, relationship, work, everybody, I felt like that communication, that I could not talk to anybody, or the people that I was talking to about it, just there was nothing being done. So there was like, we were just hitting this wall, going around in circles. And I just felt this fear of it would never change. I would be in this situation forever. I would be stuck, and that was what the devil was putting on me. That was what my insecurities and my fears were putting on me. That was the communication I was telling myself, like, you got yourself in this situation. You're in these situations. These are permanent situations. You can't just get yourself out of these situations. So my fear was it would be forever. And it wasn't, obviously. But what's helped me and what stopped me, okay, my bad. But what helped me and what stopped me, excuse this ponytail is crazy, was God, and remembering that He's always gotten me through. I should have been dead before the suicidal thoughts. I had gotten to an accident where I was literally going south, dead, like, 3 spins through the median grass to the opposite direction, traffic, into like stopping in front of like the food signs on this exit, screaming for dear life because I hydroplaned on the highway at like 4:00 in the morning. So thankfully there was like no one around me and I didn't hear anything, but I should be dead. So why is suicide taking me out, right? So these were all the things that I tried to remember, or just I had more to, like, God didn't bring me this far for me to quit. And as bad as I wanted to, as bad as I was just through, I felt like no one cared, no one was listening, no one cared to listen. No one was just, and it would just be, I could just take all my problems away. I could take a lot of other problems away if I was just gone. Like, I just removed myself from the situation. But that's what happens when you get broken, when you don't have support, and when you don't have communication, and that fear takes over. Because I was looking at the most beautiful baby at the time, and she was another thing that saved me. Just not wanting her to be like, well, dang, my mom didn't like think that I was good enough to, because she was and is. But at the time, I was just like, I don't even want her to see me like this. I don't even know if I will bounce back from this. Will I be able to be the old me and show her that? Or will she only see this depleted, stressed, depressed version of me? So there was just so many things that fear was trying to stop me, in that communication with myself was trying to stop me from just getting the help and making the distress calls. But thankfully for me personally, I had a couple close people that, like, family wise, that I knew, like, if anything were to happen to me, I would at least let them know. And so I kind of did that with another close friend of mine, and they really talked me off of a ledge at that time. Like, and slowly but surely, my friend, or I would say my friends around me, and friend, real close friend at the time, I miss her dearly, was able to just be a refuge for me, was able to be a safe place, even though she was like right down the street from my house. Just being able to go over there and be over there was a safe place for me, and not be able to just sit in those thoughts and not be able to, ooh, I'm about to cry. Because that, like, support, just being able to just literally walk down the street was all I needed. So you never know how close your safety is. You never know how close, and you sit there and you think it's going to be so far. You think it's just like, I'm just going to be feeling this forever. But literally your safety net could be around the corner. Your safe place could be a phone call away. And like I said, slowly but surely knowing that God and that the people that I come from also, I just had to dig deep. I just knew I had to dig deep and make it through one day, 1 minute, 1 second at a time. And that's what I did, until it was no longer that thing. It was no longer what I was dealing with. But when I was in it, and it's like crazy, because when I was younger, I would feel like, dang, I got people who commit suicide. How could you want to do that? You have some people that love you, or won't you be scared that you'll go to hell, or won't you be scared that God will be mad at you? But in those moments, that's not what you're focused on. You just want the pain to go away. You just want to feel relief. So any type of relief is better than what you're dealing with. Any type of different is better than that constant feeling of worthlessness. But I just say, make it to the next second. And that second will turn into a minute. That minute will turn into an hour. And that hour will turn into days. And you will make it. I know it's hard to say it like that. But if you need to call someone, call someone. Because they were literally, like, when I sent out my distress call or whatever, this is what happened, this is what I'm doing, this is like happening right now, they didn't waste time. They texted me back immediately, they called me immediately, and they walked me through, like, do you have a friend, do you have somewhere to go if you don't want to call the police or the base at the time? Do you have somewhere you could go? And that's how I found my safe place. But before that, I was just sitting in my house, in my thoughts, in my mess, and I needed to get out of it. And so I would just say to anyone, communicate, send out the distress signals. Don't allow yourself to feel like you're alone, because you're not. And we are so much more alike than we think on this world. Humans, whether it doesn't matter what your skin color is, we are so much alike than we give credit for. We all struggle with all these things, but yet we treat each other with such hate or such malice, and it's just like, why? When you know that doesn't feel good. And it doesn't really take anything away from you. I mean, there are people who operate on higher, more crooked levels who maybe know some things that we don't know. But for you regular degglers out there who just choose to be a hater or evil person or a negative person, or and sometimes it's hard to notice it in yourself. So you may be saying, well, that's not me. But if you're always complaining or you're always feeling like you got to tell somebody about themselves, or feeling like you just got something to say, that could be an indication that you need to really look in the mirror, and you're avoiding looking in the mirror. Because why do you always feel the need to say something to the next person? In a bad way. Not in a like, hey, I'm just trying to help you out, you know, what can I do for you? But like, oh no, you need to be blah blah blah. Like, what does that do for you? So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing things like this, because I'm not perfect. I dealt with all of these things. I still have to work on my communication. I still deal with the fears, but I'm conquering my fears so that suicide will never be a thought for me ever again. And I can help and hopefully say something that will resonate with someone to change and impact them, and grow and bloom. And that's all I want. So yes, I'm gonna wrap it up here, because this has been a real one, guys. You know, this was a real personal one, and I'm just gonna keep them coming. So remember, it's a movement. Amen. Ashe.